I do got to ask you because I know we haven't recorded a pod since this happened. I feel like we got to get to it. I want to make sure we get to it. And that's the Rick Pitino aspect
Hmm.
of him showing up to support, Mark Pope at Kentucky. I know Luke Hancock had a lot to say with Mark Ennis over on 93.9 The Ville with over did U of L give Pitino an invite back, which Luke was very adamant that they did. Peyton Siva, I thought had a really good reaction to it on Twitter, kind of saying, "Hey, if one of his guys was coaching Louisville, he'd probably be doing the same thing." As of course, Mark Pope was Patino's player and the team captain of the '96 Kentucky team. But I got to ask you, as someone who, and I can give my thoughts as well, but I really am intrigued on what your thoughts are as someone who has worked for Rick at Louisville and has been on Richard's staff in the past and knows the Pitino family, frankly, a lot better than a lot of us do, myself included, on just kind of what your thoughts were of Rick Pitino going back to Lexington, being embraced by Kentucky.
I know his affinity and his love for Camelot, as he mentioned during his time there, his visit there recently. And I know much when I first got on staff, we were analyzing his '96 team, and we watched a lot of film with Kentucky, and he talked about that. Yes, there's always we could talk about the Calipari aspect of that, and if that's a shot at Calipari. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Coach on this. I haven't spoken to him since he went down to Kentucky. But look, at some point in your life, and I understand, and I let me also say I understand Luke's take on it. I do, and Luke is as I love Luke Hancock to death, one of my favorite people in the world. And yeah, he's a very prideful guy, Luke, and he understands it. And if that bothered him, I completely respect that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people, players who may not be as overt with their reaction as Luke was about it, that feel the same way. And people will take the political stance and be kind of neutral and so on. But Coach is in the latter years. I talked about Frank Sinatra and some of his My Way and some of his other songs. Just about, hey, it's the end of the road and wants to go back and be appreciative. That's one thing about Coach Pitino, loves to be loved. And you know what? To go back there and kind of put like a way of saying, you know what, just get that appreciation and kind of put like that last bow on my career at Kentucky. I understand it. I understand everybody's reaction. I understand Luke's. I respect it. Coaches, Peyton's, people I have talked to, I get it. The coach felt that that's what he wanted to do. He's not one to shy away from hyperbolic comments, and so for this is something he felt he wanted to do. God bless him. That's the way I take it. You want to be appreciated someplace, so be it.
Yeah,
If
and
it if it knocks the Louisville fan base, I also understand that aspect as well. And I can't get into the minutia of all the specifics of his invites and whatnot. But yeah, he feels wrong by the university, but sometimes those are feelings that we all have. We have grudges that unfortunately we look back on and say, you know what, we shouldn't sweat the small stuff sometimes.
do you think Pitino would be doing this if it wasn't a guy that played for him at Kentucky? That was the head coach of Kentucky.
Again, I
But
don't want to
yeah,
speak for him, but no,
fair.
I know he spent time with a bunch of his former players. They were there. It wouldn't have been just for anybody. I think it was just specifically for Mark Pope and whatnot. And, Stevie Mass, being part of that too. And now on the staff at St. John's, who I work with, and, one of my friends. So yeah, I think it had something to do with the fact that it was a way to go back and do that. Almost like, Hugh Jackman coming out of retirement to play Wolverine one more time. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but me and movies.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but look, I don't think it would have been, I don't want to speak for Coach Pitino, but I don't think it would have been if it wasn't a former player.
Yeah, and like I'm just kind of compounding on Peyton Siva's point on this. If there's one thing we know about Rick Pitino is that he is loyal to his guys to a fault. And whether that's Mark Pope in Kentucky or, video chatting with Peyton and Russ and the TBT team before they played the UK alumni team back in the
Well,
summer.
he did that the year before. So
Yeah.
when I was coaching the team, we had a video conference with Coach Pitino with the players as well. So it
Yeah,
wasn't
and
just
that
year two; it was year one as well.
yeah, I think that's important to add. Like that's something that's been consistent over the 2 years that there's been a Louisville team of a lot of guys that played under him. You coaching it last year, coaching under him, to where you could say, okay, I mean, like he's supporting the Louisville players that he was around, the people that were around him when he was at U of L. He's supporting the Kentucky player that is coaching UK now, that he was around in the 90s and all that stuff. It has very good relationships. At least it seems like from an outsider night perspective with all these guys, to where it's like the U of L UK aspect of it, you can't do anything in the state without that playing a role. But he is truly not exactly, trying to, walk the tightrope of appeasing both sides
No,
because
he's
of, what
not.
he
Right.
said. But
Yeah, it was
but
very
he's
polarizing. But
yeah.
again, I understand everybody's take on this and everybody's thought process and how they feel. And your emotions are Luke is wears his heart on his sleeve, is one of the best guys I know, and it bothers him. I respect
Yeah.
that, just like everybody else. Respect everybody's, but it's, again, those are personal choices, and that's something that that you look back on and you decide, okay, this is what I decided to do, and you have to live with it.
Yeah, it is definitely a very nothing with Rick Pitino is ever boring. That is for sure. And I do think they're gonna have a really good team up in St. John's also. I don't know if you caught any of their scrimmage against Rutgers. It was a
Rutgers,
really,
yep. Yep,
really
I
good
watched it.
game. It
It
was
sure
a
was. Yep.
yeah,
Looked like a regular season game almost. It really was. It was tremendous. Yeah. It's amazing how, those double secret, we think we talked about this, but the double secret probation exhibitions now are just like televised. And, and they should be. The way it was like handled, it's a secret script. Like, what are you doing,
it was
NCAA?
stupid.
Like, why? What's the point? It
Yeah.
doesn't, again, it's just asinine that was even an issue. So,
Yeah, and then you get like two regional rivals at Rutgers and St. John's playing.
yeah.
I know a couple days from now we got Arkansas and Kansas. That'll be a lot of fun. Heck, I'm going up to Knoxville on Sunday and seeing Indiana and Tennessee because
Look
I'm
at
not
you.
working that day. So I'm excited for that. We're seeing a lot of deals. I do wish they would count on the scoreboard and the record book, but getting this is better than nothing. And
One
they're
step at
all
a time. One
yes,
step at a time.
that is for sure.